So now to play a song, the first song. I think when you're playing your first song, it's very important to choose wisely. You can choose songs that you like a great deal. That's key. And you should choose something that's easy. I think those are the two big pieces. Love the song, easy to play. It's not always that obvious from the beginning what would be easy to play, and probably it does depend on who you are and what things come easily to you. But definitely, I would have to say my first impression is rock and roll generally wouldn't be there. Rock and roll songs, at least from what I can tell, work because of the way things come together. Because of the way this instrument's playing something and this other one's coming in and this other one's coming in. It's a team effort, and all those pieces really need to be there. Some people are clever enough that they can play a whole song on the guitar by capturing all the different pieces in different places. But I don't think that's where you want to start. I think you want to start with a type of music that is much simpler than that. You think rock and roll, how much simpler does it get? In a way, it's not that simple. Each instrument is playing something very simple, but it's the ensemble that's tricky. Single individual playing music, say like folk music, is much easier at first. There are probably other forms that are also easy that way, but I'm probably more familiar with just picking up a guitar and playing a song. A simple song by a songwriter who writes simply and very, very good songs so that they're memorable and hopefully you love them. Obviously, if you look on YouTube and you look at the number of people who have covered a certain artist song, you can see very easily one person that really stands out is Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan writes songs that lots of people love and that are almost always very simple. So that's very key. And so you see 1,000 versions of these songs. The one I'm going to try to do here as a first lesson as a song, if that's the way to go, is Knocking on Heaven's Door. I looked on YouTube once to see Knocking on Heaven's Door, see how many people did it. There's just pages and pages of people who've done covers of that song because it is a great song to start with. It's a great song, at least to me and other people. It's a great song, and it's so very simple. So that's what I'm looking for. I did not start with a song myself, so I also want to put out another video that's not a song. For me, singing was emotionally difficult and also hard to work together, because if you're going to play the guitar and sing at the same time, you've got two instruments you're working with and two things you've got to do. For a lot of people, this is very easy. In fact, for a lot of people with good ears, it would be harder to not have it together. You know, the chords work with the voice, and so the voice works with the chords, and you take them apart, and how do you do that? You just feel it. Well, that's not the way it was for me. I didn't just feel it. I would play the chords, and unless somebody else was singing it, I wouldn't really know where the chords were going to change, and if I had to figure it out, I had to think it through, and that would mess up everything. And thinking is a bad thing when you're playing eventually. You want to not be thinking, you want to just be doing. And again, the gifted person, that's what is their gift. They don't have to think about it. It just comes to them. For those of us who struggle with it, who have to think, that means you want to minimize how much you have to think at once. So a song, play the chords, get the chords down, maybe sing. I'm not going to show you how to sing. I don't do that. There'd be no point in me teaching anybody how to sing, but I have to do some so that you can see how it works together. But a good way to practice is play the chords, get it down, then get a recording, sing along with the recording, get to know the words, get to know where the places come. Oh, play the guitar with the recording too, actually. Play with the recording, then sing with the recording, then do it all together. It's the way it had to be for me. But as I was saying, I didn't do songs first because of that complexity. Instead, I learned to play music first with just a melody on an instrument. So no singing, nothing coming out of my voice, so I didn't have the horror of having to sing myself, even alone. I just started to play instruments. In my case, it was the banjo, was the first thing that I really played. But the mandolin will do. Also, it's a little harder. The banjo is a much easier instrument, but it's not as melodic. It's not as easy to pick out a tune that you recognize. In my case, what really worked for me, after years and years of struggling, was playing with other people. Playing with other people is just the best way if you can find people who are patient enough to play with you if you're like me and it's painful at first to be stuck playing with me. Fortunately, out of my little band of 4 people, 3 of us were painfully bad, and 1 of us was not. And so that's just enough patient person, to get better. I don't know how many people are going to have the luck to have that situation. So instead, I suggest learn a tune or learn a song. If you're learning a song, great, let's do that. If you're learning a tune, the basic principles are the same. You're going to have to figure out a tune that you like, which is not that easy because you may not know that many tunes on the mandolin. But see if you can find something that sounds good to you. Maybe listen around on the internet to some tunes. Something simple. Simple and good. That's the theme. Simple and something you really like. You can hear and maybe even sing to yourself, hear in your head. Anything like that would be good. At least recognize when you hear. That would definitely be good because you want to recognize when you're playing it. That's sort of the magic moment when you're playing something and, oh, it sounds like the song. Well, as soon as that happens to you, it always gets easier because at that moment you can kind of sense what's coming next, and the mysterious things that were just note after note now are a song. So that's what we're looking for. That's why it should be something you really like, something you're really familiar with, so that that moment can happen. If you try something you don't know, that moment can't happen. So our 2 options are a song, simple and beautiful, and to a tune, similarly simple and beautiful. I have to admit that tunes are a little harder to get that way for me. I'll struggle to find something that's really simple and beautiful, but I'll go with simple. Okay? So this is the assignment from this lesson, and that is figure out what it's going to be for you. What song do you want to play? What tune do you want to play? Song or tune, which one will it be, and what is it going to be? I will do Knocking on Heaven's Door and some tune that I'm not sure what it might be, Cluck Old Hen. Simple. But that may not work for you, so think about what songs you like. See if you can find someone who's just playing a single instrument and singing with it. Think about a song you know from, I don't know, a waltz or some... See, tunes just don't happen that often in popular music. When do people hear their tunes? Ashokan Farewell, if you've ever heard of that one, that's the Civil War theme from that PBS series, like that one. It's not that simple, so not something I'm going to do, but that's the kind of tune we're looking for. So decide what you want to do, and then focus on it. One song.